ready.
All right. Welcome to the Gypsypotamus Experience. I have my guest here, Teddy. He is recently been more interested and experimenting with vlogging as far as I'm concerned, and he has been exploring some utilities, some software, as well as hardware, cameras, microphones, all different types of things.
That's right. Hey.
So welcome to my podcast, man.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I've been over the past half a year, I've gotten really into YouTube and vlogs, and I know that sounds kind of like
We're good.
Whoa.
We're good.
Little
spill.
Little spill over there. You got your Zevia over the table.
Fucking Zevia. Flying out of the can.
It didn't touch the keyboard. I think you're good.
Yeah, that's good.
Things happen.
They do. So
yeah, like a long time ago, I used to think of vloggers as just like really conceited, like self-absorbed. And then I realized that vlogging can be a great way to get better at filmmaking, to go through all of the parts of filmmaking, from, the designing and planning your shot, using equipment, actually capturing things.
And is that your ultimate goal, to get more, become more adequate with filmmaking?
Yeah, right now I don't really have much to my YouTube channel. It's definitely not enough to promote. I'd like to create something I'm proud of, and I've made short things in the past, like for friends and family, and the joy that I get from clicking export and then just clicking upload, having a finished product, something to show for all your work, is just the best feeling. So that's what I'm chasing after. And my next project is just a short vlog about myself. I don't really care if it goes viral. It's one of those things that I just want it to be something that I'm proud of, something that I like for myself.
Yeah.
And if I'm able to catalog my life, and if I do something cool and I'm able to capture it, and then when I'm fucking 100, I can look back and see oh, this is what I was into at when I was 25. So
right. Yeah, it's nice to see a tiny little snippet, almost like a benchmark of a portion of your life, such as this right now. It's kind of that's why I had you on here to kind of discuss the process of content making and the editing process, and what's important when it comes to either editing or obviously many people have many different styles of doing everything, in terms of some people produce podcasts or anything else that is just absolutely live streamed. It's right off the top of the
we're basically talking about a digital platform to express yourself, whether that be, it could be any type of art,
right.
Vocal, musical.
Mm-hmm.
I chose video capture because there's so many different elements to it, and I'm really seeking after, moments that you can't really get back, and moments that you can't capture in a picture. I feel like photography is great, and it's great to look at, but it's a different type of, you have a different type of audience, and I don't want something that people can just scroll through. It's
right.
Great to hit the play button and watch. I don't know, something about that is just, that's the platform I chose.
Now, how long have you, I'm just going to kind of ask you a few questions then. How long have you been interested in doing this sort of project or production?
So I wish I was more interested earlier in my life. The first time I ever got a touch of editing, I remember it was back in high school, and I was in French class, and we were doing some project where we had to film a commercial, or I think it was a commercial or some type of, we had to recreate some video, but in French. And so there's a clip from Family Guy, and it's where it's the Mexican commercial of ball in a cup. Where it just says ball in a cup 100 times. And so we recreated that in French, And I remember I was in the video lab and I was working on an Apple computer with iMovie, and it was cool just like putting all the pieces together.
Yeah.
And fast forward to when I graduated high school, I went on a trip to California with my dad, took a whole bunch of pictures and video, and I edited that down into like a little trip video.
Like a montage.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's kind of where I started and what I like to do. After throughout going through college, I feel like there wasn't a whole lot that I was capturing, and so there wasn't a whole lot I was editing. I wasn't really focused on it too much.
Mm-hmm.
But now I see it as a means to really express myself. This is what I've been getting into and what I really want to get into, because I realized like the value in it. My ultimate goal is to be an awesome filmmaker and be able to catalog moments of my family. Eventually, I want to be that dad at the soccer games, recording, and I want to make a movie out of it. I don't want it to just be some old family video that is in the closet forever. I want to put out something that has production value, that is worth watching again and again.
Right. And I'm sure you'd like to share that with not only your closest family and friends, but to some extent others.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if it's entertaining enough, anyone will watch it.
Right.
Something like going viral is always like in the back of my mind, but I want it to be worth it. I'm not looking to like be famous just by chance. I want to actually
work up to it.
Right.
Like put in the effort and make the editing.
Yeah. One of the biggest misconceptions is that you need expensive equipment, and I want to start with like that creative edge. Anyone can take their cell phone or, a cheap action camera and just record their life. So that's what I'm setting out to do.
Yeah. Speaking of which, you just mentioned you can just use your like phone camera, for example. I recently did a bunch of research on video editing software, as well as just capturing software as well as hardware. And a lot of the vloggers nowadays have been recommending something as easy as the 4K. I mean, given you have a 4K camera on your phone, something as easy as just doing that. It's very mobile, as you have it in your back pocket all the time. Mm-hmm. So it's very easy to utilize that if you have the right shot and.
Right. It's all about using the right settings, the right equipment for the right job. I don't have my action camera on me, but I always have my phone on me, and so whenever I need that, I use it. As far as like 4K and 1080p and like a fast frame rate, so a good example is skateboarding. I go skateboarding a lot, and when I record skateboarding, there's tricks that I want to look really good. And maybe like lighting is perfect, and maybe my camera's farther away. For that, I would definitely use 4K, and then later in post I can zoom in on wherever. If I ever have like a wide shot, I always use 4K because then I can zoom in. But for anything like really technical or tricks that I want to get really close and look really big, that I'll go for more of a higher frame rate, because I know in post I'm going to slow it down. So you got to kind of think ahead as to how you're going to cut it up and put effects on it and, really edit. Like a lot of the steps in this process, if you think of them beforehand, you'll end up with a product that appears more well thought out.
Right. Yeah, no, it's amazing how easy it is to capture everything nowadays. And as long as you have the moment in your frame, mm-hmm. you've got what a lot of people might not be able to see normally.
Yeah, I love that we're not even limited by space anymore. Like with something like Google Photos, you can just upload as much as you want forever. Absolutely. Delete the footage, download it later, but you don't even need a big memory card anymore.
Yeah, that's the most insane part. So have you ever used your mobile phone as a recording device?
I have. The problem with I don't know if this is a wide issue, but my phone, I have the Nexus 6. I love it. It takes great video, but it doesn't save it in a constant frame rate. And I'm wondering if that's maybe just the stock app. But when you put videos into editing software, it needs to be the same frame rate throughout the clip.
Yeah,
and
I
so
can only imagine that'd be a little
I've needed to
conflicting.
you just need to re-encode it. It's not a big deal, but it's something I didn't realize when I first. There's a lot of troubleshooting when you first start. A lot of just like little technical issues. People who vlog once they do it for a long enough time and they have their workflow, on point, it becomes a lot easier to focus more on the creativity. Right now, I'm definitely still in the process of like learning how to do all of this. I feel like you need practice before your creativity can just flow out.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. I completely agree. And same with me, as you know, I'm just starting this big project wherever this will go. And it's like I know, and I've checked out a lot of online content that is very informative, and I kind of wanted to have like a little snippet of something like that here, where we can kind of discuss some of the different things in terms of what makes a quality production, or
it basically comes down to just like thought
anything
and
else.
like the more planning you have, like today or like this right now, like we have this setup where we have like a clean table, the microphones are set up, and you have like a monitor in case we needed to make sure that we're still recording, make sure that we can actually see that the production is taking place, and everything that you need to keep track of is like in front of you and you're able to see. And as far as like the process of learning, I've been told that you're just supposed to keep coming out with content. It doesn't matter the quality of it at first when you're still learning, because no one knows everything. You should just keep at it. And so
right.
I think that's good that we're doing this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to add to that, it's very important to keep at it and keep up with the content flow, just for the basic fact of at first, you don't really necessarily know what your style you're going to go for, and where you might not even know where you're planning on to going, or what kind of content you even want to produce. But you might just be on the surface interested in, producing some sort of content, and something such as this, like podcasting or vlogging or, video editing, movie making, anything like that. I feel like you really get into your niche and you start flowing. Like once the content starts flowing out of you, and you kind of start enjoying certain things more than others, and
once you get good at using your equipment, you should be able to forget about it. You should be able to just hit record, go, and really not worry about it, because everything that we're using, it's just a tool. They're all just tools to tell the story.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you will find your niche no matter what. Once you find your place and your story to tell. So no,
absolutely.
I'm very, very excited that I've even started this, and I'm very excited that you've actually kind of helped me along in the sense of
I'm glad that we can help each other out. I mean, you're doing more of the audio side and I'm on more of the video side, so you'd think like we could just put our two puzzle pieces together and make something that's visually and auditorily exciting.
Right. Yeah, no, maybe one day we can collaborate on a project, but I definitely mean, like, in the sense of you're always maybe like 5 out of the 7 days of the week, you're kind of just at it, at least an hour here, an hour there.
I get distracted easily, so I need to put in overall time. Like, I have like a wedge of my my focus, and I try and point that wedge towards doing what I like, and it doesn't always I'm not always able to like focus intently on my timeline and being able to, focus on clips. But I do what I can.
I'd say you're pretty like it's nice to see that you're being productive at least, and that it kind of encourages me to start at it and continue my flow of.
Well, you told me how you've been doing like some research. Why don't you tell me about?
Yeah, I know.
Like what you've been looking at.
Oh man, I don't have the notes in front of me, but there's just more recently, like I've been like generally whenever I come up with my podcast as of this very moment, I've only done a few episodes and none of which have really been edited very much. I'm not. I've really considered whether or not I should do some heavy editing or not, but I really, I'm more or less very encouraged or
inspired.
What's the word? Yeah, I've been inspired, to start this by people such as people that don't do very much editing, such as the Joe Rogan Experience and.
I think it's hard. It's got to be super hard.
And like
to
Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss just like interviews people just in one straight shot. He does pretty much interview style though too. So he has like all the notes in front of him, and no, there are no cuts usually.
Wow.
But no, I even do like 2 cuts usually because the first few episodes have been a little too long, and I kind of like to take a break with the guests. But yeah, at first I was just like, oh yeah, maybe I'll just do half an hour or so with my guests and that'll be enough. But honestly, it's a lot nicer to get into like this long form kind of recording and, just discussion, and you really get deep down and into what you want to talk about. And, a lot comes out of you once you talk for about like more than a half hour.
Yeah,
like because within that half hour there's so much information that can come through, and it's.
How do you feel about starting a 10-minute podcast that really doesn't have an ending, but you say it's 10 minutes, and so you hope that it becomes that it gets deep within that time, and then it can trail into something bigger.
Yeah, I say it's 10 minutes. Like I think literally on the first episode that's out right now, because the first episode ever I kind of took down due to some issues that were kind of just things that were mentioned down there that I didn't want on my as part of my content, unfortunately. But the first episode at the moment, 2.0 or 2.1 and 2.2 episodes are kind of I don't know.
I feel like there's no way of getting around young content, content that you like, that you're willing to put out to the world, that you're not exactly the most proud of.
Yeah.
Every YouTuber, when they become famous,
sure.
they look back at their old videos, and every YouTuber is like, I hate that video. I
absolutely.
hate that, like I did
right.
that. And they may have been super passionate at the time, but they like look back at it and cringe. And
right. And I'm sure I'm gonna look at these, few episodes that I'm doing initially, and then never want to fucking look at them again. But at the same time, I don't know. Like as I was just about to say, like on the first, episode or so, like the first thing I say is like, oh, I'll probably just only do like half hour, and then like work my way up to a full hour and then more. But I don't know, you mentioning like doing 10 minutes of like pure content and then,
well, so you also have to review it
past that.
You can't just like, like instant upload. I mean, some people do that. Some people live stream.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying too. It's tough to even decide though. Like it's definitely a big call to make. And I don't know, like I feel like I just want to start coming out with content and then I'll find my niche.
You should. I feel like, and again with like YouTube, there's a lot of videos that are unlisted. Personally, I have 40 videos and there's at least 5 I know that are unlisted at this point. Yeah. Because it's just something
they're just private.
Yeah. Well, or it's something that I want a smaller group to see, like friends and family, but not necessarily everyone.
I see. Yeah.
And I feel like that's just what you need, at first.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Until you can, really encapsulate a theme,
Right.
and encapsulate, like point your passion.
Yeah. Well, I also think like the different types of the different types of content you are coming out with. For example, like a podcast. Like it's most of the podcasts out there are usually long form, and well, that's not necessarily true, but there's a bunch that are long form, and most are like just streamed and just right off the right in the moment, and for example, like that is almost unedited, if not just like a tiny bit to like enter like a title screen or something like that, or like an introduction with like sponsors or whatnot. But I mean, like for example, something like what you're doing, like vlogging, is
they're all short clips, like,
but they're heavily edited, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like a totally different precedent and a totally different like just media almost.
See, I think as far as that goes, it really comes down to the performer as well. So like in my vlogs, I'm hoping to have more clips that showcase imagery and not just me talking.
Yeah.
I don't think at this point I'm a very good verbal storyteller, and that's what you need for things like podcasts and things that are vocal.
Yeah.
I think that I can have like a creative eye and get good shots and catalog shoot other subjects and other activities. The actual vlogging part of it is my weakest thing right now, and that's like what I'm gonna try and get better at.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see what you mean as far as it being edited down. It's actually kind of nice that I can just record everything and then take like the best pieces from it.
Right.
And I think it's my job to make it as seamless as possible, so it doesn't seem as if, no pun intended, but seem as if it's been edited. The best vlogs are ones that flow throughout the whole movie.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, I'm going to change gears here, and I just wanted to ask you, so how did you, so you haven't come out with any vlog content, correct?
Correct. I'm working on my first one. I'm hoping it'll be done the next couple weeks. I had this
it's like the beginning of May right now.
Yeah, way to put a time on it.
Hey, this will come out sometime soon here, potentially.
Yeah, for sure. The thing is,
why not put a timeline on it though?
That's true. Yeah, I really should. It'll light a fire under me, and
yeah.
Really, I just need time reviewing everything. That's the thing, is when you record yourself, you're so self-conscious that it's hard to separate what you want to see versus what other people are going to see. And I have this idea in my head, but to actually turn it into a vision that I basically need to review it and see what works and what doesn't. And that's the hardest thing, because I have all these ideas in my head, and even some that have been executed. I have most of the vlog recorded by now. Yeah. It's just going through and seeing what else I need to finish it, to make it well-rounded and worth telling.
Yeah, as a first production in any case.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be a daily vlogger for a long time now. I don't know how people like Casey Neistat and Logan Paul, I don't know how they're recording all the time, and then at the end of their day they spend 4 hours editing, and they upload videos daily. It's crazy to me. Are
those your biggest influences all at the moment?
Casey Neistat's a pretty big influence. There's a few vlogs out there that I'll see like a few of, and I kind of like their content. Casey is the best idea or example of good filmmaking, because he's a true filmmaker. He's not just a vlogger.
Right.
He has a whole, it's his career. So, and he's very well respected, and everything he puts out is just very high quality, and I like seeing things from his point of view. I have a really good idea of how I want to use his content to propel my own vision forward,
right.
if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like I'm inspired by him, basically. It's not
he's still your influence. Like
yeah,
he's influencing.
I really
you
don't want to mimic him, but
Right.
I will have some elements that, you know, I like his flow. So that's one of the things, like the timing, and he'll take a day and he'll piece it up so that it's not chronological, but it tells the story in a way that's really compelling. So I may take that. I
mean, it's just a general concept, and it's definitely nice to have some really strong, strong like characters that you're influenced by, such as Casey Neistat, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, man, he's got some really interesting videos out.
He won YouTuber of the Year last year.
Wow.
He's super big.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
It's amazing how different like vlogging is from podcasts, because that's another thing is with podcasts, you really you have like one session, so there isn't like a redo,
right?
You know, unless you want cuts,
right?
It's pretty much like what you do is what you get.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, man. I'm really glad that we're both doing this and kind of influencing each other as well, and kind of helping each other along in the sense of just being productive throughout our days, and kind of
definitely I'd like to continue and have, you know, other sessions where we get into like specific topics. It would be cool to talk about, you know, each of our workflows and just like our production, what our ideas are, because, you know, we are just starting out, and it would be cool to know what works, because we can each be an audience of each other's content.
Right. Yeah, man. And just put a little cherry on top, I really like how this is basically like kind of sort of deconstructing like what it is to even do this sort of thing. And
it's like the science behind the art.
Yeah, and that's have you ever heard Tim Ferriss?
No, I haven't.
Okay. He's a crazy dude. He like his whole concept is basically he deconstructs, he interviews like the top performers in the world, in all senses and all media and everything, whether they're athletes, like actors, political people, talking heads,
people who are like near the top of what they do. Yeah,
basically like best of the best, and like deconstructs everything that they do and how they do it, and basically like what kind of effort it really takes to be the best. And it's fascinating what he comes up with.
I'm sure there's many qualities that people share.
Oh, absolutely.
Like what it takes to be a successful person.
Right. Yeah. No, it's there's actually a lot of similarities, and I actually just bought his book. It's called Tools of Titans. Somewhere around here, but yeah, I started reading it. It's pretty compelling stuff. But
cool. I'll have to borrow it from you.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, thank you very much for coming on here and being my guest and deconstructing a little bit of what we do and what we're getting into. And yeah, man, I hope we see some big leaps here in the future.
Cool. Yeah, I'm ready to, you know, live my life and really not have any regrets, not to look back.
Yeah. And thank you guys all for listening. This has been the Gypsypotamus Experience. Over and out.